Hell is at the peak. The leap of faith, breaking through the crowd, transcends society, in existence here and now underground. The world, as to power and representation, nothingness. To transcend being and nothingness, nihility, overcome by shunyata. Existentialist tradition takes us to a place where dread and anxiety and the isolation of the ego and the struggle against the mechanistic, oppressive world deemed outside are central features. It's other. Buddhism takes us instead to a place where the individual becomes integrated in an interwoven web of life and light, and where the self dissolves into interrelationship and dread and anxiety and the fear of death, along with being itself dissolve into a tranquil mind, a cessation of mental strife, an acceptance of the natural world through that very zero-ness, shunyata, the emptiness, to retreat to a transcendent, isolated, existentialist individual. We're going to look at these two in ways they seem eerily similar. We may find, however, that the differences between Buddhism and existentialism are striking. Existentialism is commonly said to be more a movement, generally, than a specific school. Its defining principle is that existence precedes essence, meaning that the individual's truth is the only truth an individual will ever know. We can look in the past to Martin Luther, who first declared that the individual must have a relationship with God unmediated by the bishops or popes. He first confronted the church and its crowd with his heroic proclamation of individual freedom. While God may be gone from our existentialists, at least as an a priori, essential agent, the freedom of the individual expressed by these traditions is central. We will be looking at this topic through the lens of Keiji Nishitani, Japan's greatest existentialist thinker, through his work, Religion and Nothingness. He first offers us a Zen Buddhist view of Descartes, analyzing this by means of the Buddhist principle of zero-ness or emptiness, nothingness, shunyata. He declares that Descartes, offering us the image of a thinking thing inside of a dead body, leaves us surrounded by death. He doubts the cogito, the ego cogito, I think, therefore I am. Cogito ergo sum. This is a dubitable hypothesis from the standpoint of shunyata. Our existentialist doubt even Descartes' assertion of a transcendent self, and our Buddhists are critical of his subject-object dualism. This implication of a living mind in a dead body gives us phenomena, but clearly he is a figure who lurks in the background of our authors, along with his successor Immanuel Kant, who defined the manner in which our minds filter the world, giving us phenomena but forever cutting the bridge to knowledge of the noumenal thing in itself, the world where God and angels are thought to abide, but can never be known. The target of attack for our authors is Georg Hegel, who sought not the individual's truth, but truth as evinced in the mass-man movements of society. His truth is that of numbers and statistics, of no individuals, just the great masses, thesis and antithesis as part of what he envisaged as an evolving world spirit, does injury to the individual's quest for truth, as he or she sees it. He served as an inspiration to Marx, but the universalistic mass man, the man of numbers and statistics, are anathema to the question of how it is that I suffer, while Kant demonstrates how our minds filter reality, and Hegel revealed the evolution of the will to be, or the world spirit through the action of the state that he calls the march of God in the world. Arthur Schopenhauer turned inward and embraced the Buddha's world. For him, the optimistic portrait painted by Hegel is in fact a monster. The will to be, he now conceived as the will to life, an all-devouring chaotic locus of greed and hatred and violence. He embraced the pessimistic picture of Buddhism emergent at that period of colonialism through early English translations, and what he read of the Buddha's thought influenced him and many thinkers who followed him in his time.
In my 17th year, without any learned school education, I was gripped by the misery of life, as Buddha was in his youth when he saw sickness, old age, pain, and death.
While some have accused Schopenhauer of holding to a pessimism because he sought escape from state and organized religion, in fact, for him, it was the reverse. The doctrine of a creator God who could allow such suffering, an old problem in the Christian tradition of good and evil, left Schopenhauer abandoning the Jewish dogmas, as he put it, presenting to us an image echoing one of Descartes as well. Perhaps an evil being toys with us in a world of dream and illusion. If these doctrines are true, then it is the work of an evil genius, as Descartes put it.
The truth that spoke out from the world loudly and clearly soon overcame also the Jewish dogmas, impressed on me, and my conclusion was that the world could not be the work of an all-loving being, but rather that of a devil who had brought creatures into existence in order to delight in the sight of their sufferings.
Contrast Schopenhauer's grave skepticism with regard to the historical events as dogma of the Christian tradition with that of Kierkegaard, who still feels value in his great leap of faith into a God that may not be there to catch him. Indeed, Schopenhauer dispenses with any kind of leap of faith into this monotheos. He prefers instead to see it as a vestige of childish wishes. The Buddhist of any stripe can agree with Schopenhauer in this: truth, as best as it can exist, exists in, quote, the thoughts of the wise. Significantly, when we compare Schopenhauer's integration of the human and animal into the natural world, we see a striking contrast from that of Heidegger, or for that matter, any of our other existentialist writers.
The standard recognized by Hindus and Buddhists, tat twam asi, that, this, is thyself, as he put it, which may always be spoken of every animal, to keep us in mind of the identity of his innermost being with ours.
This series then begins with a Buddhist thinker, Arthur Schopenhauer, very early, a century prior to the life of our last Buddhist thinker, Keiji Nishitani. For Schopenhauer, following the Theravada, or Orthodox Buddhist tradition, in a relatively pessimistic approach to understanding the world, to Nishitani, following more a Zen path indeed. We can contrast the thought of our Buddhist thinkers Schopenhauer and Nishitani with regard to how anxiety and dread are overcome by an acceptance of the now. We will look into Dostoyevsky, Kierkegaard, Rilke, Nietzsche, Heidegger, de Beauvoir, Sartre, in tandem with the work of Keiji Nishitani, through his classic Religion and Nothingness, for the contrast he makes between a focus on the transcendent ego and will, existentialism, and its other, the immanental vision of the egolessness found in Buddhist tradition, is striking.